Okay, we're started.
Oh, hello. My name is Marcia Cooksey Webster.
I'm Destiny Whaler.
I'm Melody Adu.
Israel Olu.
Sorry, I know my shoe was.
Today we're talking about Parasite. This movie was made in 2019. It's pretty much about a lower class family who has come together with a plan to be able to outsmart an upper class family by all getting jobs. Yeah, that's the big premise or the plot behind the movie.
Okay, so we're gonna start with casting. Basically, I enjoyed like the different perspectives from each like sides. Like you could tell from I don't know how to explain it, but like the rich people in a sense, it was like they over dramatized a lot of stuff that didn't seem like it wasn't in their world in a sense. And I like how you could see like each actor's ability to portray a rich person with like zero sense of actuality in a sense. Like when they were talking about the tuberculosis and the art part, like about the son, and she was just like and she was so dramatic. I enjoyed seeing that, and then I enjoyed seeing like how it was like a difference in a sense. And you see like the poorer family, they have like a more realistic view, and they know like, oh, these people are going to be dramatic over small things, so that's how we easily weasel our way in. I also enjoy like the different dynamics you see, because like you don't really see that much within the family until they start actually working together. But I like how you see like they all are playing a part together in order to keep this ruse going. Yeah.
I enjoyed the casting. So I definitely agree. The only part that I didn't really like is when there's the kind of relationship with the daughter of the rich family.
Oh yeah.
Because she's underage. Because she's not. Yeah, she's not in college yet. I didn't look to see what age they go off to college, but I'm guessing it's 18 or around 17, 18, like the rest of, or not the rest, I guess like the US. But I did not enjoy that because to me, he was at least 20. I think I thought that was a weird addition, but that might be in their culture. That might happen a lot.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until I watched it this time. And then I remember in the beginning too, his friend was talking about how he had feelings for her.
Yes.
And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, she's a high school sophomore. I'm sorry, those are my roommates. But yeah, I was like, she's just really young and y'all are like both trying to get at her. And then you think
right.
our play of it all too, like you're her tutor and y'all both trying to, I thought that was fun.
To add on to that, did you guys feel like they were trying to like kind of make it seem like he was becoming, I think the name was Min. Do you guys think he was trying to like embody that, like his friend who was a real college student, like was more well off? Because like, I feel like he kind of stole the life because he said the exact same line, like when she's of age, I'm going to ask her out or whatever. And I was like, I think he's trying to like fit into the shoes of someone who really does belong like where he is.
Right. He definitely says that like at the end before the big fight, not really fight, but before the big scene at the end, he definitely says to her like, do I fit in here?
Yeah.
So I definitely agree, like he was trying to up this is where I belong. But then I think when he came to the end, like he came to the realization that he really didn't.
You really see with all of them, especially him, like as soon as they start making more money, they transition like their actual personalities into what they think is like the right way to behave when you have money. I thought that was a good point. Our next point is editing, and going off of that, it's like you see like throughout the movie this transition from, oh, we're dirt poor to we're making money, and then we sort of go a little crazy because of us having money. We get more paranoid. Something that I also looked up, one second, that I thought was interesting was that they don't like, they do like individual shots for the movie. And so let me find it. It was more like, they said it was more like a conversation in the movie rather than like a storyboard. And the director wasn't a big fan of like traditional movie coverage and everything. I thought that was pretty cool the way he was describing it. He was like, he doesn't do like shot for shot. He does more so like he spaces out when like the characters are having conversations. Like if there's a person talking, it like spaces out rather than like him saying, oh, this person is talking, no, this person is talking, no, this one. It's not as choppy, it's more go with the flow. I thought that was cool. And you see it throughout the movie. And then something we talked about in class was the whole like, that I didn't realize before I watched it this time, was like, you see like the whole, we're looking down on you and we're looking up at them because they're richer and we're poor.
Yeah. Yeah. Watching the movie, I also noticed that like they always went down, like whenever they were going back to their house, like they always went down the steps, like that big rain scene, they kept going down a whole bunch of steps like the whole entire time. And I didn't realize that until you pointed that out in class.
Yeah,
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, the editing was good. I think one thing that I also noticed, I don't know if maybe I was just kind of making it up though, was when they were in the basement, like everything looked kind of gritty because like the lighting was really gritty and the walls are so dark. And then versus when they're in the richer part of the neighborhood, the sun is out almost all the time. It's very light in there. Like even the architecture of the building is like white. So I think that's a really good contrast too.
Yeah, you see like the different perspectives. Like it's always sunny on the other side.
Right.
Oh, I just came up with that. So our next point is going to be the music, because that also ties with our editing.
Okay, so for the music, I really felt like all the music was sounds. Like if I'm not mistaken, I don't think that there was like any words, which I actually think had a big impact because when because you're paying more attention to the scene, and I think it's important. Like since the movie wasn't in English, I feel like the music was very effective in like conveying, the transitions from scene to scene. Like if the music was a little bit calmer or slower, it would be like a softer scene. And then I feel like as the movie progressed, the sounds got like more intense. When I looked up what they used to make the music, they only used like piano and string selections with like soft percussion. And I don't know, I feel like them using like that type of music, like predominantly like opera, kind of gave the movie like a higher class vibe. Like I feel like when you think of opera, you think of like, more renowned people. And I feel like all the scenes where it was playing was like when it's showing like the upper class. I want to mention like the composer for the movie Parasite. His name is Jung Jae Il. He's the same composer of like the really popular new show Squid Game. So I think like it shows how effective he was, because obviously this movie won a ton of awards as well. Also, just the music itself, like I don't know if you guys noticed, but like it would get intense when they were doing something bad or like when the Kim family was doing something bad, it would get a lot faster, and it kind of just gave it the eerie, this is sneaky type of feeling to me.
Yeah, I had remembered I had seen something that was about that, like how throughout the whole movie they're like playing sort of different songs for different scenes to portray like, oh, what's the like overall vibe. And I thought that was really cool. And I thought like how you can tell like, oh, they're in deep trouble based off of like, oh, this song is playing in the background. I thought that was really chill. Our next topic, I forgot what we said, is I think we said, what's the other topic? The script.
Yeah, so for the script, the first thing I wanted to point out overall, like just the things that the people, like the cast members were saying, everything was very like of the times, and it made it more interesting, especially early on. Early on in the movie, they repeatedly like mentioned WhatsApp, and that's a really popular app, everywhere pretty much. So a lot of the things that they implemented in the script was very, and lingos that were very of the times. Um, Another thing that I pointed out that was really interesting to me was the obviousness in the whole movie of when they were trying to replace the people's jobs, right? So it would be something planted in the script where it was obvious that it was going to be referred to later in the movie, like when they flicked the peach dust and it turned out to like they tried to flip it to be a tuberculosis, but when they started doing that in the script, and it was much more subtle. So something like I pointed out in the movie that was a very subtle, direct point to one another was when the daughter in the family was taking a video of Kiwoo. He was trying to fight the man who was peeing in their yard again. And the daughter in the video says it's a deluge. And a deluge is a severe flood. And then later in the movie, we see a severe flood in their neighborhood. Um, also, something that was really interesting to me was the relationships and like blindness and also greed in the film and how they really tied it into the script. Something like the father said once they first started the jobs all together, and he said, if we put 4 of our salaries together, the amount of cash coming in that house would be immense. Also, when he says things like, rich people are naive, no resentments. And the mom said it all gets ironed out. Money isn't iron. I think that was also a really cool moment in the movie because later on, everything was ironed out because the parasite came upstairs. So they just drop like very subtle lines all throughout the movie that really directly is the reference to something later that's going to happen. And I thought that was really cool.
You said that? Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right. You can go ahead.
You said the subtle references in the part where you said about the flood, and it made me think, yeah, she definitely, the daughter was recording, and then that's how they ended up getting not caught or anything, but that's where everything started to go downhill, is all because of recording. So that definitely, I didn't think of it that way, but when you said it, I was like, oh, that is so true. Like, he did drop a lot of subtle hints of this, it's not going to end good. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things about this movie that you just don't notice. Like, other people notice it, and then like they bring it to your attention, and it's like, oh yeah, I didn't see that. Like, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Our next point is setting and costume.
So this was filmed in Seoul, South Korea, which it's set in South Korea. It's set in, I think it's set in like 2018, 2019, because everything, like we were saying, everything is very recent. The Kims live in the lower class commercial district, and they live in like a half basement type of apartment. It's very cramped. Like it points out and it really solidifies that they're dirt poor. So poor that they live underground. They have like one window, and then that's how their apartment ended up flooding. So they really solidify like the class lines that they're trying to emphasize. Like I think that that's a really good choice. And costuming throughout the movie, we see the Kim family like in rags. I feel like in the beginning, they're in clothes that they probably been wearing for 5-10 years, which I don't think most people really do nowadays. Most people get new clothes a lot, but when you're poor, you don't really have that option. So they're in like kind of dirty, shabby clothes. As the movie progresses, we see them in different clothes, especially when they're in their other character. When they're working for the rich family, we see them in a little bit higher quality clothes, but they always constantly point out that there's a smell and that they literally smell poor. And I know the son of the rich family was like at the beginning that they smell the same. So I think that that's very significant, like in the costuming portion of they want to point out that this is a family, and the rich family's still a little bit too naive to really anywho, they're too naive to think that they're not one family. And then the rich family lives in a richer neighborhood. I still think that it's a part of the city because everything is pretty close together still. Although that they have a backyard, I still think that everything is pretty close together. Like I was saying earlier, everything's very bright when we see the scenes at the rich house. And then we have another scene of their below basement. And he was saying how a lot of people have those basements just in case of a fallout. I think that's very significant about the tensions still between North and South Korea. I thought that was a very relevant point to point out. I think overall the setting, I don't know if they could ever film this anywhere else. It's very particular to South Korea. There are some things that sure could be changed over to maybe America, but it wouldn't have the same impact and it wouldn't have the same message.
Something that I like that you pointed out is the clothing differences, because you think about it, even though they start dressing like more, I guess, sophisticated and snazzy, you see they still wear the same outfits over and over, like they tend to repeat them. But then you see like the rich people is sort of like a lack of outfit repeating rather than they have an array of clothing. So you see them in like different outfits, different sort of perspectives, rather than you see the poor family in either rags or their riches in a sense.
Something random that I noticed is like right when the little boy's like birthday party started, the mom of the rich family was wearing like the exact same thing as the guests. Like they all had like, I don't know, me and Melody were watching it together and they had like an identical dress on. And I feel like they did that on purpose to show like how like their class is so similar. Like even though she got invited to a party randomly, like they're wearing the same thing because it's like the standard that they have.
I agree with that. They all are wearing like that cream colored pinstripe, not pinstripe, but real tight skirt type dress. Yeah, that's it really did solidify like the class lines because then you see the Kim family and what they're wearing. Even the daughter, she had on like a flowy dress compared to their tight dress. So I definitely agree with that.
Our last section is the psychological effect, and our main question is how can films make us understand more about globalism and class differences?
Okay, so after watching the movie, I realized that the movie like really like it was set in a way to get into people's minds to like I don't know, like they were trying, I guess people are trying to figure out who is the real villain, you know, because like there is no set villain. Like we don't really know who the parasite is exactly. Like it could be the man in the basement, but then it could also be the Kim family. But then, and then also it could also be the rich family as well. So like I just like was reading a lot of things online and then people were just kind of debating like who is the real parasite. So yeah. And then also it leaves you questioning the societal impacts on like when it comes to like capitalism, like how that impacts society. So I got my notes on the side. Oh yeah, so it leaves you questioning the societal measures put in place. Oh my God, this one. It leaves you questioning societal measures put in place, as well as economic measures and the psychological impact they might have on a person. I'm sorry, guys, I'm tired. I don't even know what I'm saying right now. What did I write here? Yeah, so there were like obviously class lines put in place. So there was the rich and then there was the poor. But then like somebody mentioned that like I think it was the rich people, they were constantly talking about how everybody has a smell. And I thought it was interesting how like the reason why the guy was killed was because he just, he made this face and it just set him off. And I thought that could be like a representation of how people in society just like revolt, like whenever they feel like they're being disrespected. So like, for example, like Black Lives Matter, or like people fighting for like, healthcare and things of that nature. So yeah. And then the Kim family scamming could also be like a representation of the by any means necessary mindset that people have in a capitalist society, because like it's always like production over like it's quantity over quality in this society. And they were just trying to get by, honestly. Like they didn't care like about the more repercussions that it would have. Like they just wanted to get by. And even though it was wrong, I guess like we all understood like why they did what they did. So then, like honestly, I didn't think they were villains, to be honest. And the question, what was the question again?
I think it's, how can films make us understand more about globalism and class differences?
Okay, so I feel like this film really helped us like to really see the class differences in action, because like I said before, we just like there was a lot of discussion about like the smell of people. And then I think in one scene, the father of the rich family was talking about how people that ride the subway have a specific smell. And I was sniffing myself because I was like, I used to ride the subway all the time. So like, do I have the smell? So I think it really showed like how divided money really makes people, So,
I agree.
yeah.
I honestly thought watching the movie, I didn't think there was necessarily a bad guy, but like in the terms of it there being a parasite, I thought that the parasite honestly was wealth, because you see like how it sort of changes a person. And I know like rich people tend to be the ones that are like, oh, money doesn't buy you happiness. You're not going to be happy when you have all this money, but it's like you have it. You can't tell people that have literally nothing that they won't achieve happiness by having at least a little bit of something. And I think honestly, the overall question, I feel like it's sort of the success that the movie had, in a sense, sort of contradicted this question in a way. Not saying that the movie wasn't good and it didn't deserve all the awards that it did. It did. I'm saying like the way that you see like people that were in Hollywood during the time of the movie coming out, you saw like a lot of tone deafness from like a lot of, I guess, richer people that are like, oh, I love this movie. Oh, I love this movie. It's like, oh, this movie is about you. It's just set somewhere else. So I thought it was like crazy how you see like this in both the movie and in real life. You see like this tone deafness of like what your wealth is doing in a sense compared to what other people are living like.
I agree. I know someone earlier mentioned like Squid Games. I think that that's a really good comparison to this movie because they're both about the poor or people trying to get by any means necessary. I don't know. I agree with you, Destiny, about the Parasite probably being wealth and money because I can relate to, them trying to scrape by, by doing whatever they can. Although sure what they did was probably not morally correct, maybe. But also there were people living in the basement. So, it kind of is what it is. They were just trying to get a job. Sure, they lied, but yeah, I don't know. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it for the most part. I think that the director did a great job at like identifying a lot of struggles under capitalism, especially like the psychological impact of it, because at the end, the dad ended up in the same place because I think he was talking to him, to the man in the basement. He was talking to him and he said that he felt like he belonged down there. And I think that that really affected the father of the Kim family because not long after he snapped. But overall, I think he did a great job at really identifying a lot of issues within our society.
I agree. Also, I love this movie so much, and I love how like the director wasn't taking any crap in a sense from people that wanted it to be like in English, and like he was like, oh, just learn how to read. I enjoyed that I forgot to mention during like the editing, because you see like people were always like, oh, I don't understand why it can't be in English though. So you see like people feel like they deserve more than what like just allowing other people to enjoy something because it may not affect them or like have help them in a sense. I don't know how to describe.
Right. They're always trying to consume everything and not think about what other people want as well.
Yeah. I think they're proving people like this, they're proving the movie right, actually, when they say that. Because you're so privileged enough to say, oh, I want this movie in English. When it's like the movie was made by Korean people for Korean people. You just happen to stumble upon it. So
I also think like the movie itself was really targeting like the social order of the United States, because like they used so many references to the United States as like ways to seem like more knowledgeable, or like, oh, I went to somewhere in Illinois, oh, I studied in like, like every single time that they had to mention something, they said like, oh, like it built their credibility that they were from like, a first world country or whatever. So I think like it's funny how like literally American people are being at the end of the joke for once, because you guys are begging for the movie in English when the movie is addressing that issue to begin with.
Exactly.
Yeah. I wanted to add to like the big question about the class differences. The one scene or like one and a half scene that really like highlights it for me was when the house help comes back. Moon Guang, I believe her name is, and it's revealed that her husband was underground for like over 4 years, and although like she's pleading with the Kim family and calling the mother sis, the mother is like completely against it and even goes as far as to wanting to call the police when really they're pretty much in the same position. And it's very reflective of capitalism and class differences in itself. A lot of us are, are a part of the same class or a part of the same, like, near classes. And instead of seeing the big picture and the big issue of the class system itself, oftentimes we butt heads against each other because we want to feel like we have to get all of the resources that each other have in order to make ourselves rise up. And that's really not the case. If they helped each other in the first place, they wouldn't have to deal with all of what unraveled at the end of the plot. So, that's what really was highlighted to me about class struggle as well.
I feel like they definitely included like the homeless man also, like to prove the point that like even when you're at the bottom of like the social ladder, you're like fighting to get on top. Like they were living in the semi basements, but they were still looking down on the man who was peeing in the street. And then when they had the other encounter underground, they're still looking down on the people like below them. And I feel like it's something that people internalize. Like you want to be on top. Like that's how so many societies are built, where it's like there has to be somebody at the bottom of the social ladder to make the society work.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Yeah. Do we have any final comments about the movie?
Oh, you guys. So like all the way at the end, before the main guy gets killed, or no, he doesn't get killed, but he gets hit with the rock.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think he was going down there to do? Like, you remember he goes back down and then he sees the maid like on the ground and he's trying to ask her if she's okay, but like he was bringing the rock down there, and I was confused. Like he was like, oh, I feel like he felt like he didn't belong there anymore after he talked with the girl after looking out the window. But I'm like, what was he gonna go down there and do?
I don't think he was going to kill him. I don't think that that's what he was going down there for. I think, when his friend Min brought the rock, he was saying like it brings in like financial prosperity. And they were talking to them about how they had like debt collectors coming after them. So personally, I think that he was going to give them the rock for like, so that they could get out of their financial situation. I don't know though. He definitely could have been going to kill him. He didn't really reveal it at the end what he meant to do, even though like we got most of his commentary at the end of the movie. I don't believe that he went down there to kill them.
No, because he wanted to get rid of the rock, because he was saying that ever since he got the rock, everything's just been messed up. So I think he did want to give the rock to the guy to like, give him luck. And he ended up almost killing him. So, yeah.
Well, I overall enjoyed the movie. 10 out of 10. I felt like
I really liked it.
Good points. And I feel like we did as well.
I agree.